Cannabis Common Sense, the show that tells the truth about marijuana and the politics behind its prohibition.
Welcome to another exciting edition of Cannabis Common Sense. We have another great cannabis interview for you tonight. Our guest tonight is Mike Bifari, who is from Argentina, but visiting our friends at the Cannabis Museum near Athens, Ohio. And we'll be talking about that in the show. But without further ado, let's bring on our infamous dancing cannabis leaves.
I feel the force.
Okay, if you are a loved one, are looking to find a doctor who can help you get a medical marijuana permit anywhere across the United States, we have a referral service. You can call us at 503-235-4606. That's 503-235-4606. In this day where marijuana is legal, I know you wonder, what are the advantages of having a medical card? Well, there are several. Cannabis is tax-free, which can be a significant portion of the price. You can grow more. You can buy larger amounts at a discounted price. Some stores actually offer a discount too. Also, you can travel. For instance, in the state of Hawaii, they honor out-of-state medical marijuana permits in their medical dispensaries. Anyway, again, if you need help, give us a call, 503-235-4606. Without further ado, help us restore him. I'd like to introduce an old friend of mine, Mike Bifari, Miguel Bifari from Argentina. Miguel is in Ohio at the Cannabis Museum that's outside of Athens there. And how are you doing, Mike?
Hey, Paul. Nice to say hi. I'm doing very well, thank you. I've been visiting the museum a couple of times. It's great. Well, you know all about it, but it's one of the biggest collections, and the display is really nice. So the building is awesome. So yeah, let me invite all your viewers and people that follow your show, that if they are around this area, it's worth going to visit the museum. It's a great thing. And as I said to many friends, it's like a shock of consciousness what the museum provokes in people, because many people are not aware that hemp and marijuana are the same thing, and they still get really surprised when they see all the stuff that's in the museum. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So let me say hi to everybody.
All right. Well, welcome there. Yeah, I have I used to have a very large collection. I still have quite a collection, but I've sold most of my antique cannabis medicine bottles to Don and that museum. I think one of them's a big 3-gallon container from England and India that 1840, I think. He's done some research on it. We've had it on this show back in the past, but we haven't been doing that for a while. So you've been growing hemp in Argentina the past year. I know that you've been on our show a number of times. I think most recently you were just starting out your hemp crop there around Cordoba. Is that right?
It's not exactly in Cordoba. We did it 2 years in a row. So this coming season will be the 3rd season in a row. You know that the season starts different than in the States, right? Like we can start around after the end of September, October, we can start in October, November. And it's practically when you harvest here, right?
Yeah, we harvest in October usually.
Yeah. So hemp can go from October up to May, or early May, or maybe late April. They're usually ready by that time. So we had our second operation of the same strain in a row in 2 years. The first year we did it in Patagonia, North Patagonia, and this last one it was in the province of Buenos Aires. Um, we have a nice place there with 8 hectares, that is around, let's say, 17 acres, and we plan to put there 5 hectares. That's around 10 acres. That's going to be this coming season.
I see. So you're going back again to plant. How did it turn out your first and second season? It's a big difference between Patagonia and Buenos Aires.
Yeah, I think we did better the last time. The seeds look like high quality seeds, and we've been separating them. We've been, working around and storage them for the next season. We're happy, and we're doing all the process that the government asks you to do to be able to accomplish all the paperwork of research. And yes, for now it's only research. They have to develop more regulations. They have to do with production in a big scale, and the production of products that can be developed. That's not in place yet.
So you've been concentrating on growing seeds for further cultivation and
Yes.
growing your seed bank.
Yeah. Inside what we were given as the white part of the law, that's the only thing we can do. So, instead of wasting time waiting for everything, we decided to go ahead and make. You can make a medium scale operation. So we're going forward with that. That's going to be 10 acres.
I see. I see.
10 acres in like about rows of 1 meter, right?
Uh-huh. So you've got them 1 meter apart.
Yes, for seeds.
Right. Yeah, you'd grow them a lot closer if you're growing for fiber, obviously.
Exactly.
So how was the harvest? How did that work out for you? What did you do?
Because it was experimental, it wasn't that big. So I had a team of people that helped me, and we could sort it out. We had problems in the crop. First we had birds eating seeds and little plants. We had some animals, like maybe small mammifers, that were around there, until we covered the whole thing completely. And then we had, when we were drying in a drying room, in the middle of the place, we had a little mice attack, and
Ah,
we lost a few. We lost some seeds. We lost a few kilos of seeds.
I see. I see.
But I think
Well,
I did some research, and I think that the mice attack is very common.
yes,
Apparently they smell the protein there.
it's very nutritious.
Yeah. So they know exactly what they're doing.
Did you get a cat?
Um, I found it at the end. So I took everything apart, and I'm we're thinking what to do with the next season. We're done with this season, so we're thinking what to do with the next one. First, we seal it, the whole place, very, extremely seal it. But I believe that that's not enough. If they start, roendo, to work on the surface, they will get there. So we'll have to do all the measurements to keep this away from us. to keep the mice away from us. The good thing of having passing the season, the second season in a row, is that you learn a whole bunch. Things you would even imagine that can happen, um, that were not even taken into account, and then they happen. And
What kind of those?
for example, the mice. I didn't pay attention to mice. I didn't know about it. Even the birds, I thought, oh, if I make a espantapájaro, these in the country they use these bird uh, to freak the birds away.
Yeah, we call them scarecrows.
Yeah, yeah, those. Um, we even had to make a couple of those.
Uh-huh.
So it was fun. It was nice. I loved it. And I think that the goal was accomplished because we have the seeds now for the next season. Um, and for now, the place that we have is enough. So for the purpose that we want to do, which is make these 10 acres. So I'm happy about that. And yeah,
So how did neighbors respond? Was there any community attention?
community attention.
Yeah, like what did your neighbors say? You're growing a big crop of hemp there.
No, they didn't say nothing. Not much. They were surprised. I hired one of the neighbors for the tractor.
Uh-huh.
So he's a Chinese family and had no problem at all. You know,
Good.
they didn't even ask. You
Uh-huh.
know?
I see.
And then,
Do you have any
and
kind of inspection or anything coming in and testing your
I was
THC?
I was threatened about an inspection. But
Uh-huh.
I had every single thing in order. I had all the paperwork done in order with me, and I have a certificate that says that I'm allowed to be like a replication seed facility.
I see. I see. So in the future, you're hoping you can sell these seeds.
Yes, I'm helping to use them for ourselves, to make different type of testings around products. That would be something we can do with seeds. Um, and yes, eventually we will have seeds to sell in the future for our neighbors and for everybody who would like to willing to make business with us.
I see. I
You know,
see.
Argentina is big, so I think it's a big. It's a nice challenge to go ahead in this path of making Argentina a hemp productive land.
How many people are in Argentina?
About 48 million.
I see. I see. So you're growing to replicate your seed, so you have a bigger stock. Next year, you're probably gonna. How much seed did you start with this year, and how much seed did you end up with harvesting?
I started with 100 grams of seeds.
Just 100
Yeah,
grams. That's not very
no,
much.
and I made 7 kilos.
I see. I see. So that's 70 times more.
Yeah, maybe I made in total I made 10 kilos, but I lost because of the mice.
I see. Well, those are some healthy mice. We know that if they've been eating that protein.
Yeah.
So you're planning on going back and starting again with your 7 kilos of seeds. How much are you going to grow this time? Are you going to grow more to
Yes,
try to produce
yes,
70 times more seeds again?
I'm gonna go for 10 acres
Uh-huh.
with the 5 kilograms of seeds.
I see. I see. So, and then when you harvest, what do you plan on doing?
Well, it will give us time to accommodate the regulations for us,
Uh-huh.
and we will probably storage. in a seed container, in a huge one. You know, we'll probably make a few thousand of kilograms of seeds, and then we can go ahead with all type of testings for developing products.
So
I,
what kind
I'm
of product?
I'm not sure. This is what I would do, but I have a little team working around me, so I'm not the one that you should ask that type of question. Maybe her name is Natalia. Maybe one day we can interview Natalia.
Does she speak English?
Yes, she does.
Okay. So you've been an activist in Argentina for how long?
Oh, I don't know, for a long time, Paul. Like
I know.
I don't know, all my life. I've been an activist.
So I met you when you came over and you helped in several of my medical marijuana gardens
Hmm.
and various things. I think that was probably approximately between 2012 and 2016 or 17. Is that right?
Yes, probably yes. That's right.
Yeah. You're here for a pretty good period of time. Did your knowledge there help at all in your hemp cultivation?
Oh yes, absolutely. I love that you invite us to come over to the States those days. That was fun to learn. I remember learning all the time, different things and different experiences. It was fun. Those days were fun. And
So tell us about the situation with marijuana laws in Argentina.
well, we had a law that it's a medical law that came like in 20 2017. Was a medical
Uh-huh.
law. It was called the 26350. 2650, yes. And but it was lacking of regulations, so it was kind of stuck there until a new government showed up in 2018, right? 2019, a new government showed up, and they made the regulations with a medical program that allows you to have 9 plants flowering and a non-specific amount of plants in a vegetative stage. So we can often see large gardens now everywhere. And this is for the medical program law. Uh,
How does it, do you have to
yeah,
register and get a
you
doctor?
gotta get a doctor and register, and we have so far about 350,000 registered.
Out of a population of 48 million.
Yes.
So how often do you have to register and how much does it cost?
At the beginning, it was only lasting for 1 year, and now it's lasting for 3 years.
I see. So you get a license
Yeah,
for
and
3
it
years.
doesn't cost you nothing. You don't have to pay the government nothing. You have to pay the doctor only,
Uh-huh.
or the doctor, or you have to pay the doctor, or the doctor and the collective that made the paperwork for you.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. So how does that work? How is your collective set up?
Um, so I have a garden of my own, right? Because you can have it individually, 9 plants, right?
Right.
And I live in a property that has 2 entrances. So I share the lot. I mean, there are 4 lots in my property. So I share it with one of my daughters that also has an inscription in that address. So we can actually share the grow. So,
I
so we,
see. So you
we, we
flower.
have 19 plants flowering permanently.
Uh-huh.
And what I do, as a technique, I play with the light and darkness source,
Uh-huh.
because when you pass the first days of February, until the cold winter comes in July, August, you can still flower, If you follow what I'm saying, if you
Yeah, it's kind of like here in Oregon, we harvest in October, but you could let your plants keep growing into November, maybe even December, if the weather permits.
yes, so we try to do that to take more advantage of the flowering season.
How did that work? Did you have much mold?
It works okay, but I need more preparation for winter time. If I don't have enough heat, it doesn't work. I have a room where I can maintain my mothers alive, but my clones at the greenhouse temperature that I have now, it doesn't work. So I have to improve that.
Yeah, you got to have it's in Fahrenheit
Yeah,
about 80 to 90 degrees for
yeah.
flat fruit.
But we had a broad, what we call a broad difference between low and high during the day.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's a big problema.
Well, I understand that Buenos Aires is at about the same latitude as Oregon and Ohio. You're right around about the same. Is that not right?
I don't think so. I think we're more, Buenos Aires is more a little bit upper north than here.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Uh huh. I'm not quite sure. We
Well,
have to check it out. But it looks to me that because in Buenos Aires it never snows.
yeah.
Here it snows a lot, and there's a huge forest here, a very beautiful forest. And Buenos Aires could have that forest, but it's all farming land.
Uh-huh.
You have that same forest as we have here in South Buenos Aires, South province of Buenos Aires.
I see. I see. So you're kind of like the American South then
Yes.
when you're in Buenos Aires.
Uh-huh.
So back to what first brought you into marijuana legalization, Mike? I know you must be like me. You tried it and you thought, well, this should not be illegal. What was the first thing that you did to politically or socially to do with in marijuana prohibition?
Well, I think it was, I was a user for a long time. And I started, as soon as I got together with my wife, I didn't officially marry her, but we went to live together. And we planned the idea of having a family with kids. And I thought, I don't want my kids or my daughters or to suffer the same things that we suffered around discrimination because we were consumers, and suffer, the institutional violence around marijuana users. And we knew it was a medicine, and we knew that made the life more comfortable for millions of people all around the globe. So that gave us enough conscience to go around in the activism. And then I started to have my girls. I had 3 girls, 3 daughters, and I was very happy that I took this path because the 3 of them like cannabis, and the 3 of them, in a way, work for cannabis, for the cannabis industry, in a way. So I'm happy with that.
Yeah, I guess it's good that you can work with your family.
Mhm. Yeah.
You're sharing a garden with one of your daughters.
Yes. Yes. I work with 2 of my daughters. Hmm.
I see. So how does it work? Is your hemp field growing seed close to your medical garden?
No.
And do you seed
No.
your medical garden get seeded?
No. No.
Or do you
No.
have
No.
a
We are far
it's
away. We are far away, one from the other. We are in the province of Buenos Aires, which is really far away from my medical garden. It's about 1,000 kilometers.
oh so your medical gardens back in Cordoba.
Yeah, so I have a person taking care of that, and my daughters. And
I
in the hemp field, I have one person there permanently taking care of the house, and eventually I have a team of people that work with me, you know, when it's needed.
Well, then you didn't have to worry about seeding your sinsemilla crop. Of course, that's a big issue in the cannabis growing regions here in Oregon. The hemp farmers seeding the recreational marijuana gardens causes some conflict.
I know, but because the fact that here is so new, I have a chance to experiment what I'm doing without the fear of complicating or bringing inconvenience to others.
Yeah. Well, I know that I've traveled with you across Argentina
Yeah,
a couple of times. Drove across Argentina back in, I guess it was 2015, and into Chile and Uruguay. But it was a couple of years ago. You, I, and our friend Don Wertschafter went to Chaco,
yes,
the capital Resistencia, where there was a big hemp
yes, we
conference.
did. I remember that.
So I know you travel a lot across Argentina, and I understand that you found a little pharmacy that has a collection of antique medical marijuana bottles and things.
Yes, I was invited to a cannabis cup, of this zone in the Argentine plains, like in the middle of Argentina, but in the central in the central west, I can say, which is what we call the Pampa land. It's the richest land that we have here, and that we have there in Argentina.
We drove across the Pampas
Yes.
when I
So this is the province of Santa Fe.
uh-huh.
So I was invited to be judge in this cannabis contest, and the young man that and his woman that organized the event, they said that they wanted to show me a pharmacy which I've already known about, but this time the owner of the pharmacy was going to be there for me. Um, so I met Mr. Lozada in this old 1886 pharmacy. You um, it was very amazing. It was so cool to meet Senor Lozada. And the story is that Mr. Lozada relative descendants, I mean, Mr. Lozada is a descendant of the old relatives, his grand whatever grandpa. So one young man came from Spain, and he set up a kiosk, like a small vendor place for selling apothecarian uh, preparations, like in the 80s, like 1880 something. The place was founded in 1886, so let's say 1888. So he was
Almost
he was right.
140.
Sorry.
I said almost 140 years ago.
Yes, exactly. So he was right beside the church, the local church. You know that these towns, they all have the same kind of drawing around, right? I mean, the church,
Yeah,
the
a center square
the
church.
theater, maybe the theater, the municipality, the big church, and the plaza in the middle, right?
Right.
So this guy moved from being next door to the church. He moved a couple of blocks away, like before 1890, you know. And after he moved to the new place, 2 years after that, the man, uh, something happened to him and he passed away. And his woman took care of the pharmacy, but then his brother showed up. The the founder of the pharmacy's brother showed up and kept on developing the pharmacy and the family because he got remarried with the the widow, and it was his brother. You know, I believe that these type of things was more common in those days. I don't know what you think.
Uh, yeah.
I
Well,
think I think those things were common. The family reunions or whatever you want to call it. Yeah, we don't forget that they were immigrants, right? And in a foreign land too, right?
right. From Spain.
From Spain. So they developed the pharmacy, and the second generation they had kids. This new couple had kids, and the second generation went to the University of Cordoba to study pharmacology. Okay,
I s-
so one pound of cannabis was already found, right? It was this small jar that said cannabis Indiana. And then in this recent visit that we made because of the cannabis contest, I found a second big jar that says it's tincture of tintura cáñamo indico.
I see.
So it's a big jar, huge one. So you know, me that I've been doing research on cannabis, different kind of type of cannabis research around South America, Paul. But
Yes.
I'm going to be honest to you. This blew my mind out because I've seen these jars in the museum. I've seen them when I was there with you. I've seen them with Donnie Wershafter. I've seen them in Barcelona, and every time I see them, I'm thrilled to think that because of people like you and Donnie and Senor Ben, people have the chance to recognize these paraphernalia. Otherwise they will be lost. All these will be lost. But what it was really blown my mind out with this new discovery was that if you see the place now, the pharmacy, I can say one thing is, I can say one thing positive, that the pharmacy was well taken care of. It was well maintained. So the man maintains all the books of the recipes. He maintains all the books from the 19th century, you know, as in good conditions they can be for being so old. Um, but what blew my mind out was the fact that to think about these old peasants that were not old and young, or young couples and young families that were settling there in those days, that they had to maybe travel with their carry wagons, horse carry wagons around the plains for so long, maybe for hours and hours, maybe 50 kilometers, 60 miles, 50 miles, 30 miles, or whatever amount of miles surrounding this small town just to get their cannabis medicine, that it was probably mixed around with some other herbs, making these exclusive um, um, preparations, like how do you say it? Um, when it's a
I
when
blend.
it's a unique preparations, right? Um,
Many of my antique cannabis bottles are mixed with other substances. Some of them are mixed with opiates, some of them with chloroform, many with different things. Capsicum is not uncommon, the spicy thing you find in peppers. Uh, Many different
yeah,
compounds.
but it's incredible to think that the dialogues about around these young couples that were settling there. This is the history of the immigration. So it's incredible to think that the lady was telling her man take the medicine that the doctor prescribed you, and it had certainly amount of cannabis there or whatever it was, and then on the way back the man was already high on his cannabis, and then maybe before going to sleep he had to take another dosage. You know, it's unbelievable to think all these stories from people coming from all over to this small little town with these new professions that were coming from very many kilometers away from the old world, Europe. They were arriving to this new land. That, those stories really blow my mind away because I think that they should be in Netflix.
Yeah, they were the pioneers. So,
Those were the pioneers of the modern pharmacy.
right. So, they're still in business today, though, obviously.
Yes, but they don't do no more preparations. I ask if they do preparations because every single detail is like intact, like from the old days. They haven't touched much. Everything is in the same place. Um, so they said no. We order, and there is a central branch that sells and delivers everything we order. So we don't preparate nothing anymore.
So, are any of these items going to come to the Cannabis Museum in Ohio, or are they staying there at the pharmacy in Argentina?
I don't believe that they want to sell nothing.
Yeah, yeah, it's their history.
Yes. So what I'm allowed to do is maybe take copies of recipe books.
Uh-huh.
That would be interesting to research. Um, because there were several preparations with cannabis and the dates, and the signatures and the recipes. That would be really interesting to check it out. So I will have to return, I guess.
Yeah. How far is that from your home in Cordoba?
About maybe 600 kilometers.
I see. I see. So 300 miles or something.
Yeah.
Is it between your farm in Buenos Aires and your home in Cordoba?
I didn't get that right, Paul. What you say?
Is it between your farm in Buenos Aires and your home in Cordoba?
Which one I prefer the best? You mean?
No, no. I mean, is this pharmacy
Oh,
in between the two?
yes, exactly. You're kind of right. It's in between the two. Yes, I
I
have
see.
to move a little bit down um, west south, I guess. You know, Buenos Aires is kind of north, so I have to move a little bit west south.
So, tell me more about the situation in Argentina. You're able to grow hemp. Do you think they'll be producing commercially like we're doing here in the United States and in Canada?
Well, right now, we're all waiting for some signals from the new government, and
Uh-huh.
everybody's like in a big question mark because we have a kind of extreme right wing government, and even
Kind of a friend of Donald Trump.
yes, even that we are under the law of the cannabis medical cannabis law. We have this medical cannabis program which is in the law, so we're all in accomplished with the law. So they can't do much there, but they can try to change the law or by decree take it out. We don't know. I particularly personally don't trust the government. They've been already in TV shows talking with completely unknowledge, totally no knowledge about the situation of the patients, no knowledge about the situation of cannabis in general. They've been talking many stupidities on TV, but they have not been able to make a move to change the current status. So we're good up to now, so far.
I see. The horizon for cannabis legalization there in Argentina.
Well, we had this turnout of this new government. This was a bad turnout for, I think that not only for the cannabis movement, but also for the feminist movement, LHTV, LGTB, right, movement, for the gay movement, and in general, it was a bad strike for the human rights movement, which is very strong in Argentina. But the national president was won by a right wing elected president. So I suppose we have to wait until the next election to take him out, even though he's having a lot of problems now. And the last polls give him like, something like 55% of people that are against him. People are starting not to like what's going on. So that's the current situation. It's kind of explosive, like all the rest of the countries in South America. You see what's happening in Venezuela. Society is divided in two, you know. There's
Yeah,
a lot of control from one side, but then there's a lot of um mezquindad, cruelty on the other side, cruelty on both sides. It's a mess. We
yeah,
One thing for sure is very clear for all the countries here involved. We need more cannabis, Paul.
right. So I know that you folks in Argentina and in Chile, you have the biggest marijuana legalization marches in the world, really. In the cannabis march, or what started out as the Million Marijuana March and became the Global Cannabis March, usually happens in May.
Yes,
And it started in New York City and went out to almost 400 different cities around the world. But several of those are held there in Argentina. How many people participate in the marches in Buenos Aires and Cordoba?
this year it was unbelievable, but we did not march. It was not a march.
I see.
It was a festival, a cannabis festival.
Uh-huh. Was it in Buenos
It was in
Aires?
Buenos Aires, in Cordoba, and Rosario,
I see.
and
So you had three
many
festivals.
many other small places in other provinces in the interior, and many places in the province of Buenos Aires. People gather around, but it was private gatherings.
So how many people showed up for these festivals?
Incredibly, not many. Maybe in the Buenos Aires one we were 15,000.
That seems like a lot to me.
It's not, because we used to
Not like
we used to have
Hemp
these
Fest.
marches with 70,000.
Yeah, yeah. The marches were big. I know the one in Santiago, Chile. They topped over 400,000 one
Yes,
year.
maybe that's true. But and you know what happens is that because of the medical cannabis program, um, you know, people soften things out, and people were not willing to protest. I was like, the Quixote of La Mancha, the guy that fights against the windmills.
Sure.
I was one of them because I thought this is the moment that we have to be more united and have to march because we have a right wing uh, conservative, because these right wing governments, their outfit, his outfit is being like, he recently converted into Jewish to be Jew,
I didn't know that.
but believe me, Paul, it's a complete outfit. The guy is more Nazi than ever, and more cruel than ever. So I don't believe his outfit. And, besides that, he is surrounded by many, many conservatives that we heard something that went on in one of the meetings, and the Minister of Security was there, and they were talking about marijuana and drugs in general. And they said, with the medical marijuana program, we have 350,000 possible traffickers. So
Huh.
if I had more budget, I would go against each one of them. But I can't do that right now because we don't have budget for that.
Yeah. Yeah, I can relate to that.
That's what we heard.
So you're going to plant 10 hectares this year. What do you anticipate your harvest will be, or can you say? You've learned, watch out for mice when you're storing your seeds. What other things have you learned, and what's the plans beyond that with your hemp seed crop? Are you ever going to get into food production?
Well, it depends on how much we yield at the end of the coming season. You know,
Yeah, 7 kilos is not enough to make much food. It's true.
no, so we have to go for more than 3 tons of kilograms.
Yeah, yeah.
3,000
So
kilos. That's about 6,000. We can go up to maybe 7,000 pounds with 5 hectares. I believe so.
I see. Do you think you'll approach anything like that
I hope
next
so.
year?
I hope so. I'm all forward for that. Uh,
You've got to be prepared for the harvest and processing.
yes, we're getting ready. We're getting ready before in advance. Yes, before we do all that. Yeah,
All
we're
right.
already getting ready in that.
So you're in Ohio now, uh, and how long are you there? Or
Just a couple of weeks visiting friends. Donnie, and that's about it. And then going back to visit relatives, maybe,
uh
and then go back.
see, you're in Florida,
Yes,
right?
and also visit some friends. I had some friends in Florida.
I see. You're not going to make it out here to the West Coast, though.
I hope I could. I received several invitations. From Los Angeles, from San Francisco, and probably from you. You know,
Yeah, you're invited.
yeah. So I don't know. Um, for now, I can't say I can. Give it 100% uh, positive answer for that. I don't know yet.
I see. So tell me about organizations in Argentina. Are there groups working for legalization? And
Yes, there are several groups working. For example, when the new government showed up, discussing some of the pathologies around the recipes of the medical cannabis program. I'm talking about the preparations that the medical um, prescribe or advise the patients to go ahead with. Uh,
right,
so they put some obstacles. They made a few complaints. So we formed an organization that has 60 medical marijuana professionals that were involving their careers in the research um, of all the papers that are out there, concerning medical cannabis. So they've done a great job in discussing these with their official government colleagues. They've been doing this, so we're very happy with that because nothing has been changed so far. I mean, the status of the medical cannabis program it's in place, it's still in place.
I see. Yeah, I had a little glitch there. So Uh, so you're going to go back and plant your hemp again. Do you have any other plans while you're here in the United States?
Uh, Not really. I'm kind of touring, Um, I'm learning from the museum. I don't have more than that plan,
I see.
trying to learn as much as I can, Donnie's one of my heroes, so I'm trying to check out all his collection and learn about it. And I want to do something with my research in this pharmacy in Santa Fe. So I'm working with a lady that can edit something for us and with a filmmaker. So I might make a small documentary about this discovery to bring alive, like a little window to the past. Um, that's what I want to do
That
with this.
reminds me of what we did in the Aconcagua Valley, the Central Valley in Chile, with the
Yes,
huge hemp fields that they had there, and that video that I helped finance a little bit and drove around uh, that Central Valley.
yes, it's true. But at that time, by those days, we had more budget.
Yeah,
Now,
I had more
you
budget
know,
than it's true.
yeah, no, nowadays we don't have that type of budget. But we have more technology now, though. So it's true that we can put something together with less money now, and in a way or in a format that we can reach as many people out there that could be interested in this amazing history of the development of medicine in general and the development of, or the lost track, we can say the lost track of cannabis, of the medical cannabis path, right, in the past.
Right. So you want to tell our audience a little bit more about the video we made in Chile?
Yes, you can always go to my page. That's I can say it. It's www.mikebifari.com, and there's a couple of videos there in that page. Not only the one that we made in Chile, but there are also a couple of videos of you talking about different aspects of hemp uses in the um, in the east of the world, in the eastern,
It,
in the far of
yeah,
China
yeah.
and the far east. Yeah,
That's where I
uh,
saw you last. Actually, was in Bangkok for the
yeah,
Second International Hemp Environmental Forum, which was a
yeah.
great event there.
So I believe that you're one of the, the biggest persons that had the biggest knowledge around concerning this Chinese culture and the all the Oriental culture. So that was really incredible, that chat we had together. So
Yeah,
everything is there in the web page. That is another project that I'm still working on. One of my books is in the web page. People can download it, and there's also pages that belong to Senor Jorge Cervantes that they can download books free from there. They can go to the Cannabis Museum in Barcelona. They can go to the Cannabis Museum in Ohio from there. They can go to your web page from there,
there's
and
plenty.
many others, and some in Spanish as well. Like the first Argentine clubs, you have pictures of the Argentine crops
Yeah,
uh, in the clubs page. So everything is there for people to check it out.
great. So, Argentina is right across the river, the huge delta on the Rio Plata from Uruguay. And Uruguay theoretically was the first country to legalize cannabis back in, oh, what was it, 2012 or so, 2013? But
Yeah.
they didn't really legalize it very well. Do you want to tell our audience a little bit about that?
Well, yes, there have been changes in politics, and also this. right-wing, political right-wing prosecutor from the city of Colonia, a small little city. Uh, she went after cannabis business producers in Uruguay, um, accusing them of an illegal association, which was not quite, that was not quite like they
Yeah.
put it together. So maybe, it's like they made it up a little bit, but a lot of people were harmed. A lot of people were arrested. Many of our friends were arrested. Some of them were liberated, but some none. And some of them are there for more than an year now, like an year and a half. Um, it's incredible that these things happen, um, because there's no setting to the tourist. And so
Yeah, they
people,
can't sell to anyone if you're not a resident.
right, people that produce the marijuana there for self purposes, they they suffer a lot of pressure from thousands of tourists that are asking for pot continually. So it's very easy to cross the line there, It's
Right.
very easy to cross the line. So we told the government this in advance, like many years ago. When we had meetings with the government, we were advising the Uruguayan government, and we told them that they had to make it work for the tourists too, because otherwise you will be producing narco traffic gangs.
Right.
And but we were wrong on that with this case, with this particular case. But these guys were not even that. They were not even marijuana gangs at all.
Yeah.
They are, I think, they are victims of the situation. For
Right.
example, our friend Lupo, he sold cannabis to the tourists. Of course he did, you know, but he had an open cannabis gift shop.
Right.
So lots of,
Here in the old town of Montevideo.
and he had a club.
Yeah.
So of course many people, hundreds of people go to his place and want a pot.
Right.
You know?
Well, Mike,
So
we're out of time. Is there anything you want to say in closing? Mention your website again.
it's www.mike Mike Bifari Bifari MikeBifari.com.
Okay. And you can see your book about vaporization and a lot more.
Yes, a lot more. There's more coming, and there's more there, and there's a lot more coming. Yeah, you'll enjoy it, I think.
All right. Thank you, Mike. I want to thanks for
Thank-
coming on the show again. Have a good time there in Ohio and Florida. And we hope to see you out here on the West Coast sometime, or I maybe can make
Appreciate
it to South America again someday.
appreciate that, Paul. Thank you so much for the invitation. I hope I can make it. I'll let you know.
All
Thank you so
right.
much.
Thanks. Adios, amigos.
Adios.